video. One of the questions I get all the time is, how can I have health care on the road as a nomad? And right now, the only answer that I know of, if you're low income, is Obamacare. And yet, we all know that's under serious attack, and who knows how long it'll last. So that's really my only answer. And for me, it doesn't work because my income's too high. My deductibles for insurance, health insurance, are so high, and then all I could afford is a really high deductible. So the first $15,000 a year I'm paying for, and between the monthly costs of the health insurance and the deductible, and that's like not having insurance at all. I mean, it just isn't anything. And why put out $15,000 unless I have catastrophic illness? I won't get any of it back. I'm only 3 years away from 65, and I'm just going to wait. I'm going to try and do without. For whatever reason, if you don't have health insurance, you don't have medical. What are you going to do? Or dental, and even going down to Algodones, which is super cheap, but still can be a lot of money. And Suanne, my friend Suanne, say hi, Suanne.
Hello, everyone.
Has found an answer for low-income people. Is it even, do you have to be low income?
They don't ask.
They don't even ask. It's free medical and dental.
And vision.
And vision. Now, did you hear that? Let me say that again. Free medical, dental, and vision. And they don't even ask.
Correct.
So I think that's important for you folks to know about. And also, I think it's really important, even if you're not going to take advantage of it, to support an organization that offers free medical, dental, and insurance. So, and I'm sorry, I care. Vision. So it's called RAM, and you have done that. You have gone to a RAM event and gotten free dental.
Correct.
So tell us all about that.
Okay. Well, first of all, RAM, R-A-M, stands for Remote Access Medical. And they are a national organization. Actually, they're international, but I'm involved in the national one out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And they have mobile clinics, which I found fascinating as a mobile dweller myself, where they will go from community to community with large trucks that hold their equipment, their labs, their staff, and set up a full-scale dental office with could be hundreds of dental chairs for dentists, oral surgeons, and hygienists, with the full sterilization processes to support that going on at exactly the same time. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here because I'm really impressed with this organization. Let me tell you how I got involved in RAM. I had recently gotten divorced, had dental insurance, but did not get dental insurance after my divorce. I thought I was going to be pretty free and clear and just be able to go to Los Algodones for my dental, but while I was in Washington State, I had a tooth that started hurting. This is after 4 years of no problems, twice yearly checkups and all of that. So I remembered on the Cheap RV Living Forum, a guy whose name happens to be Guy, has the handle of GS Fish, talked about RAM. And he said, well, go to their website and you can see the various mobile clinics they have. And so when my tooth started hurting, that's exactly what I did, as I was now heading south for the winter to spend in the desert Southwest. And when I got to Northern California, my tooth started hurting even more. Gratefully, I had at one point gone to Los Algodones and gotten some amoxicillin. So I was taking amoxicillin, and that started taking care of the pain, which told me it was an infection, that and ibuprofen. And I had decided that in 2 weeks' time, I would go to Pahrump, Nevada, where I knew RAM was going to have a dental clinic, and have them take a look at it. And but by the time I got to Northern California, I knew I'd better do it before 2 weeks, and I knew they were also having a dental clinic in Reno. So I crossed the mountains and found myself in Reno.
And you went ahead there and got your tooth taken care of.
Right.
And you're going to tell us all about that experience.
Right, right. So my tooth was eventually extracted, but it is quite the experience to be a patient for RAM. Because the communities they go to, of course, have high need. They serve a lot of people. They've set up a process that is fair. However, it is pretty onerous in that there's a lot of waiting. So the process for Reno is that they opened the gate to the parking lot at midnight, and then as you drove through, they gave you a ticket with a number. I had number 14. So, and then you were instructed to be out at another area of the parking lot at 4:30 in the morning or 4:45, something like that, to catch a bus that would then take you to the actual clinic. So I parked. I probably at the most got an hour's worth of sleep. By the time I got back out at 4:45, and stood in line with hundreds and hundreds of other people waiting to get on this bus to go to the Boys and Girls Club in Reno, which had just a huge open gymnasium. Once I got there, then it was more standing in line until 6 o'clock, where we were actually then put in the order. So I was like number 14 in line at that point, to actually then start and go into the facility to be registered and triage. So registration, what that means is that you sat down with the volunteer who had a laptop. The volunteer asked you a bunch of questions like your name and age and emergency contact, and had you sign a waiver. And then they would take your form and put a label with all that information on it. Then you took that form with the label over to an RN or an EMT, somebody that was trained, to do triage. And at triage, they would check your blood pressure and take your medical record and any prescription medicines that you were taking. And assuming they didn't find anything that needed further investigation, like high blood pressure or diabetes or something like that, you would then go to the area that you were going to get the service. And for me, that was a dental. At that point, my number 14 didn't mean anything. At that point, you go and you play this kind of like musical chairs game, where the first one there gets the first chair and the second one gets the second chair, and so on and so forth. And because I had a bathroom call, I ended up being number 25 in the dental area. So I was 14 coming through at midnight, but number 25 by the time it was about 7 o'clock in the morning. And unfortunately, all but one volunteer dentist didn't show. So they had one dentist for all of these people. And long story short, some of the people that were waiting decided to go get glasses instead of a dentist or some other service, a tooth cleaning instead of an extraction or a filling. I went ahead and just kept waiting around, and by 2 o'clock, I was in the first chair and got called. I will tell you that whole process, although it was tedious and everybody was exhausted and many of us were in pain, the volunteers were, I can't say enough about them. They were just extraordinarily kind. They were total advocates for us. They kept us updated about what the issues were. When another dentist actually did come in, things started moving faster, those kinds of things. It was in some ways impersonal, but in other ways probably the most personal medical or dental service I've ever gotten. So by the time I went and saw the dentist, they did have a mobile x-ray service there, which kind of remind me of the x-ray guns that the police officers hold, only they just hold it up to your cheek, and so that they could see the actual status of the the tooth and the difficulty or not of having it extracted. It ended up being the dentist that served me, I would say, without hedging anything. He was probably the best dentist that I've ever had, both in terms of skill and bedside manner. The tooth was extremely difficult to extract, and he worked hard, and it was hard not just technically, but physically, because of how hard it was wedged in there. But it was ended up being a clean extraction, and I've healed up just fine. As I was waiting there, and we knew it was going to be a difficult extraction, I had the person that was in charge of the dental clinic come up to me and just talk to me, and I'm not a nervous Nellie at all. I was pretty calm, but she knew that it was going to be difficult, so she was, I don't know, there to comfort me, and it was really nice. And then the curious part of me could look across the way and see all of the sterilization work that was being done, and the 5-gallon buckets of water that was being carried in sterilized containers to do the rinsing, and the hoses for the suction, and the dentist, this is a gymnasium, so they didn't have the operating lights, but they wore, like we wear as campers, they wore headlights with really bright lights on their heads. So it was just extraordinary, the organization that happened there. In the same large gymnasium, they had a vision area. It was on the other half of it, and they just had the lights turned down, but it was all open, and again, the same kind of process. The chairs were lined up, and the person in the first chair got served first, and as that person got served, everybody moved up. Vision at RAM is same-day service, so they not only check your vision, but they will give you glasses the same day. They have a mobile vision lab that actually makes the glasses, and they have frames for you to choose there. So it's pretty amazing. I didn't get my glasses there, but would not hesitate if I needed glasses there. For the medical, while I was in Reno, I was waiting for my dental extraction, I did get a flu vaccine. So depending on what kind of doctors are there, they'll provide different kinds of services. It could be an OB/GYN, it could be a podiatrist, it could be a GM. Just it will be whatever's there. They'll provide those services for you.
So all in all, you didn't feel at all like anyone was looking down on you, or you just felt, how did you feel?
Well, before I went there, I felt anxious, to be honest with you, before I crossed that gate. Even after I crossed the gate, probably until I actually sat down for the dental, I was not exactly sure how people were looking at me. But as I waited there those many hours to have my tooth extracted, and just watching the volunteers and interacting with the volunteers, I felt cared for. I felt advocated for. There was no looking down on me at all. No sense of judgment. Not at all. It was really kind of extraordinary.
So you would say, more than anything, you just felt compassion.
Yes,
People
absolutely.
were there because they cared about you as a
Right,
human being.
Right. And RAM itself has a very small staff in Knoxville, and it's just a handful of paid staff that come to each location. Literally hundreds and hundreds of volunteers for each of these clinics. And not just volunteers of high qualifications, dentists, oral surgeons, hygienists, medical doctors, optometrists, RNs, EMTs. It's really does my heart good to see the care that people with so much education and presumably money are having for their local communities, that they're willing to provide this service.
You know, really, it's kind of just the very best of humanity.
It is.
People
it is.
caring about people.
Yes.
You have a need, I can meet it. Let's get together.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Let's just say this again. Absolutely free. No one was paid a penny.
No, nothing.
And all the volunteers weren't paid either.
Nope,
They
nothing.
they couldn't have paid them because no one paid them.
No, nothing.
No money was exchanged.
Nothing.
So have you considered giving back yourself now?
I absolutely have. And in fact, even while I was there, I thought, you know, I'm so impressed with this organization. The compassion, as you said, and just the quality of service and quality of actual the organizing that happened. I thought, I want to be part of this. So in addition to feeling like, you know, I wanted to pay back because they had given to me so freely, I just thought this is going to be a cool organization to be part of, if I can. And so I did. And as I said, that there was going to be another clinic in Pahrump, which is south of Reno, the next weekend. And I volunteered there. And as what they call a general support person. And at that clinic, I learned how to register patients. So I was that person in front of the laptop, asking people their names and getting signatures and those kinds of things before they actually went to triage. And in fact, I am wearing the T-shirt that I was given at Pahrump with their remote area medical's insignia on this T-shirt. I have since volunteered 3 times. And at 2 of those events, I got T-shirts, and this is the one I like the color. So after I registered patients, I also learned how to electronically file the patient's records. So everything is kept confidential, of course, and the pieces of paper that the patients had going into their services with the labels on them were then returned back. The services received were put into the computer. The sheets were scanned and then alphabetized by day. So I had the opportunity to do that as well at the Pahrump clinic. And then after Pahrump, I volunteered in Garden Grove, California. And for that clinic, I got to be what they call a runner. So in the dental clinic, and I got to meet the patients and get to know the dentist, and hygienist, and then connect the patients up with the various dentists based on their needs, or hygienists. And that was probably my most enjoyable volunteer experience, just because I got to meet the patients and see what a difference the services made in individual lives, as well as meet the dentist, and just the joy that I saw and the camaraderie that I saw that they had in the clinic as the day drew near, and they were, you know, just feeling really good about the work that they had done. And then the last place I volunteered is Houston. And went there and decided to go a day early and volunteer for the setup. So I helped set up the chairs for actually not just the chairs, but the whole area for the dental clinic. Everything from covering the floor with tarps so that the wood floor didn't get stained or anything, to setting up these really heavy-duty metal dentist chairs, to the machines that they do the suction and the water and everything else with. And then also at that same clinic, I registered volunteers when they came in. So just like you have patient registration, you have volunteer registration, because literally there's hundreds and hundreds of volunteers for each event. So, and they have to make sure that the professionals are licensed, not just in their field, but for the particular state that they're in, because they'll come out of state. And then the last thing I got to do at the Houston clinic is I got to help make eyeglasses. So that was fun. Just checking the lenses and marking them. I can't remember what the machine was, but it was quite the team effort. Probably, I don't know, 7, 8 of us in this little mobile eye lab just cranking out glasses. That was really fun.
Wow. You've been involved.
I have.
You believe in this organization.
I do, and I'm scheduled to be in 2 of their New Mexico clinics in the first 2 weekends of April. So, yeah, I think this organization is phenomenal.
And so you've done it. You've been in the behind the scenes as much as you can be. And so there's no question, these are just wonderful human beings helping other human beings.
Absolutely.
They're not getting rich. It's all free if they're getting rich. We can't figure out how.
No, it is. They don't ask any income questions or any insurance questions at all for the patients. None. It's amazing.
They ask if you have a need and can they help you with it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Those are good people.
They're excellent people.
That says something about you that you're right there with them.
Oh, thank you.
Says a lot.
I think one of the senses of kinship I have with this organization is that they're mobile, and that I'm mobile. So they're someplace, and if I can be there, then it just makes sense to, us both mobily get to this community that has a need. And I don't share with people very easily the lifestyle I live, and so I shared that very slowly with a couple of the staff, and I have met nothing but acceptance for living this lifestyle as a mobile vehicle dweller, and so I think that says a lot about that organization as well.
And it has to be really good for them to have an experienced person come in. You're someone, what you're doing in all these fields.
I'm learning.
Yes.
I'm learning, yeah.
And that has to be very good for them. So they can trust you.
Yeah, and they have, they have core volunteers. I consider myself a grunt at this point, but they do have a really strong core of volunteers, and I've met many of them, and I really admire their dedication as well. Did you meet many people in different places from the previous places? I did. The woman who did my x-ray for my tooth was in Houston. And the woman who taught me how to register patients was also in Houston. And the staff member that taught me how to file patient records in Pahrump also is the one I worked with to register volunteers in Houston. So yeah, they're the same, and I see faces, people I haven't met yet, that are the same from staff from place to place, or core volunteers from place to place.
Very, very good, really. So so for folks, if you're interested, now you need to know, where can I get more information?
Sure.
How can I go there either to volunteer or to get service? So how can they do that?
The website is the key place, both for the events as well as to become a volunteer. Or if you can't be a volunteer and you want to give, they are a private organization, accept donations. So that's ramusa.org. That's it. You go there and you will see links to the events all across the nation, as well as a link to become a volunteer.
Very good. So folks, there you have it. We hear when you decide to go on the road and you tell your friends, they all say, oh, you're going to have so much problem on the road. And yet everyone I've ever talked to has gone on the road and found wonderful people. Sure, every so often you're going to run into someone you don't like, or that bad things may happen, but there are people like these that took care of you, and like you, who are taking care of others. That's who you're most likely to meet on the road. Wonderful people caring about other people. And you can be one of those people, and you can do some of those things and be helped yourself. So rise above your fear and get out there and live a good, full life like Suanne has. And if you need help along the way, here's an organization that will help you along the way too. So I hope you've gotten something out of this, that you spread the word, that you take advantage yourself, you go and use the services, because that's what they're for. People who need help, they want to help. And if you can help them, help others, do that too. So folks, I hope you got something out of this. If you did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you later.